What's up guys, Nick Dabas here with Adoramacinema channel. Today I'm really excited to share the DZO 18-28 T lens. These are the X-Tract series. So what that means is this is their line that actually is like a macro lens, but more importantly than a macro lens, this is a macro probe. And for a lot of people that don't understand what a macro probe is, you're able to get this lens in certain places that normally you can't with traditional macro lenses. Like you start looking at things differently and where you're gonna place the lenses. The good thing about this kit also, it comes with a right angle and a right angle peri-probe, which allows you to spin as well. And today we're gonna mostly shoot on the Venice. And what I'm trying to pair this up with is also the Rialto. So this paired with the Rialto will allow us to maneuver and put the camera in different places. I would say the fun part about this lens is the trial and error. I just want to show everybody exactly what you get in this kit. And let's just I'm going to bring this closer. So, and this is not a selling point of any sort. When I always get DZO products, the one thing I love about it is you don't have to buy an additional case and you don't have to get a custom case with labels on it. Everything is ready to go, almost like as if you were gonna like rent this lens out. So you could still go to Adorama Rentals and get this kit and rent it for the day before you commit or decide that this kit or a lens like this is the right choice for you and your photography or your filmmaking needs. So the one thing I like, if you want to come in closer, first you get your standard probe lens, right? The one thing that's amazing about this kit is that you can actually take this lens off completely. So we have our standard straight lens that's a probe, and I like that they didn't include the light like some other companies. This allows for a much clearer image when you're going in closer because you actually end up seeing that in the image, especially if you're shooting like an eyeball, a close-up on anything that's sort of black, you'll notice that. So I like that they include caps as well, but they also include little clear protectors. So if you are doing a welding shot, fire shots, water shots, you can also protect your investment with a lens filter built in. And what's nice about this, if this eventually gets scratched or broken or burnt, you're able to just go buy a new one. I'm sure it's a lot cheaper than getting a whole new lens. In this case, you get the standard lens. You also get a right angle. And then you also get, this is like a periscope. So, yeah, whatever this thing is exactly, it's a really cool device that allows you to create like different creative shots. What's amazing about this is you're able to, like, with a flick of a button, which could also be geared with a motor, you can have the ability to spin this around. Sort of like what they did in F1, where they're able to like maneuver the lens to get like one perspective, but two different perspectives at the same time. I think that's very, very cool. And then also if you do decide to use this stuff on a robot or something that needs to be performed exactly the same every single time, everything is numbered and geared on every part of this lens. So if you say, oh, I'm gonna go to like -90, all right, that's the shot. Now I can go back to 0 or go back to a different number. I could always mark my location where I put the lens so I never forget where the shot is. I think that's very impressive. And I'm going to talk about DZO's build quality. For the price of this kit, this is extremely, extremely well built. Every single lens that I've tested with DZO got me so impressed that I'm like, I wish they would give me some lenses. I did a test with the Arles lenses and I fell in love with the quality and the build quality of the actual lens. It's amazing. I think this kit is like $5,000 or $6,000, I believe. And what you get with this, with all the supports and the filters and the shims, and you even get motor brackets, different size motor brackets for this as well. We'll test this out. But yeah, that's like sort of the intro of this. And it also, you know, it comes with a nice case. So my recommendation is for something like this, I would get a PL lens mount. Not because of like usage wise, but like, let's just say you're operating on an FX3. I would rather get this in PL just because this mount is a lot stronger, especially for a macro or where you're gonna put this lens. Any sort of vibrations or shakes is gonna be much more well handled and distributed through the camera this way versus you getting an E-mount and then putting it on your FX3. I think this is a lot more usable, in my opinion. I would rather get a, like my FX3, they sell DZO PL mounts for the FX3, or you can get a LPL to PL adapter, but that's a lot more expensive, in my opinion. I would rather just get the standalone PL adapter, which we'll use today. So what we're gonna do for this video, because I think makes the most sense, is that I'm gonna build out the Rialto, so what the Rialto is a little device that hooks onto the Venice and allows you to make the camera a lot smaller. And I think with this lens, we'll be able to hook up the Rialto to the Venice and the X-Tract lenses and be able to stick this in small places and have a much better result. So let's go and build this and we'll get started. Now you can get this thing pre-owned for under 25,000. Isn't that fantastic?
Really?
Yeah, swear to God, no joke. That's the best part about this. You know, the one thing I learned in my career is you only get the things when they're hot, when you're really making a lot of money. But if you're not, if you could afford to wait, you could really get a serious deal. Like, I got a pretty serious deal on this. After owning 2 Venices, having them in the rental houses, and then selling them off before they went obsolete, which I don't think anything like this is gonna be obsolete. This is still, you know, a 6K raw sensor. They're amazing, so. But yeah, you can really save yourself a lot of money. You see, for instance, these lenses. I look at these lenses as a very good investment for food photography, videos, anything that deals with car shots, product shots. I don't know if I would be purchasing something like this. I mean, this is a tough thing to just go out and buy if you're not shooting specific things that require these lenses, right? Because these things it's a setup. You'll see, as much as I love these lenses, I think about certain setups, right? And then you start thinking about what it takes to actually set that up and do it the right way. I think that's the harder part. But the fun part about those lenses is that it allows you to think, similar to like owning a black and white only camera, right? You're only thinking about just light. You're not thinking about color. So I think with these lenses, you're doing the same thing with your brain. You're almost thinking about where could I place these things and what angles can I put this lens in? And I think that's where these lenses are really special to me. I think we're gonna figure that out today. And then we might get a goldfish because these are also waterproof, up to 8 inches, I believe. So we'll test that out. Hopefully we don't mess anything up, and stay tuned. Now we got our Rialto all mounted up. Now you guys can see, once I get the lens on there, this is a much smaller form factor than an entire Venice. And I got about 10 feet. If we need more, I could always add another lead to this, but this is gonna be most likely our build. So first we'll mount the standard probe. And what's nice about this is that now this whole setup is a lot more portable, and I'm still able to make it a little smaller by taking off the tripod base plate as well. The thing that's gonna be the hardest part is just figuring out what the best scenario for the motor is going to be. We could also, so for motor wise, we have multiple options. With a standard 6-inch rod, we're able to get focus, we'll get zoom, iris, and then we also get this cool feature that unlocks the lens completely and allows you to spin. But on something like this, to spin, I think is not as important as the right angle and the skater scope or the peri probe. For this video, I'm just gonna attach one motor just to make my life a little easier. So traditionally you would mount this on top, but this lens kit actually comes with one thing that's even better. It allows you to mount the actual motor on the actual lens. And what that's gonna provide is the most rigidity across the board. So if you're focusing, or you're zooming in, or you're spinning the lens, it's all fixed on this. Or you could set this bar to spin your lens with a separate motor, or you could put the focus and zoom on here so it doesn't affect the rotation of the lens and any sort of micro vibrations. So let's get that set up, and that's something that comes in the kit, which is nice. That's right here. So this thing comes with a small hookup. It's got tiny screws, so the scary part is a lot of this stuff is very small, so you gotta be very careful. And when it comes to camera department, I just recommend moving slow at all times, just so you don't lose or strip anything. It's the last thing you want. So as you can see, look how tiny these screws are. But the nice thing is they're already pre-thread locked. So it just adds a big peace of mind when you're, especially when you could buy this kit or rent this kit and it's ready to go. I promise this is probably the hardest part, is getting these lenses set up. And I did not want to preset this up before doing this video because I really wanted to show everybody like all the pieces that come with this lens kit. Because normally, especially at this price point, lenses do not come with accessories and things that you could just open up the box and start using them. So you see how nice that is? That allows you to also, I think you could, yeah, you can go left or right depending on whatever your rig is. You get your T-stop readings, you get your zoom readings, and then you also get your focus reading. So the nice thing is the motor could just sit, pop right on top. And guys, this is the best part about this lens. So now you see me mounting this motor, right? The best part about this, changing the actual parts of the lens. So if I want to go right angle, I could just quickly disconnect this real quick. And guess what? My motor's still attached and I don't have to recalibrate this part. For this purposes, I'm not gonna do zoom. I'd rather just manually zoom. And then the iris, I'm gonna set to whatever it is. So I'd rather just keep it on the actual focus part. So the best part is this is all like a specific proprietary mount system that hooks up on all these lenses. And the best part is, guys, this not only spins this way, it also spins this way. So for instance, you have a tricky situation. We're gonna try this in the fridge. We have a tricky situation that we're gonna be able to put the camera, for instance, in a spot where you're able to drop this down and get the point of view of somebody grabbing a seltzer or something, or a soda, right? But you wouldn't be able to do this with any standard 90-degree lens because guess what? The lens, you would have to figure out how to mount the camera upside down. But with this, I can keep the camera set up like a standard tripod, set up straight up, and I could drop this down. And this, as you can see, this is where the lens, I think, ends as a water, oh no, actually it says it right here. Look, waterproof termination line. So technically, this is probably more than 8 inches in water, which is pretty impressive. But you could drop this lens quite a bit in water or in any sort of scenario that considering this is waterproof, that's pretty amazing. The one thing that I'm most impressed with about this lens, there's no breathing, right? Besides it being a probe, it's impressive that it's a zoom and a probe at the same time. So it gives you 18 to 28, so it gives you multiple lens focal lengths in one lens. And that's across all these devices, right? So the thing that I was telling you guys about before, your zoom is on this. This is your main piece of glass. This is essentially the optics and sort of like the mirror, or in this case, the mirror behind this and the optics of the actual glass. So like, that's the zooming part, and that's the part where the aperture, all the functionality actually happens, and your attachments are just standalone. So you don't lose any sort of quality, you don't lose any sort of functionality of what the original lens gives you. So when you have these options, you get all the stuff. It's not like you're limited by using a right angle. You still have the option to zoom, you still have the option to spin, and then you also have the option to spin here. And they're all waterproof. And look, I didn't rip any one of these plastics. I wanted to keep this kit intact for this video. And it's great that they gave me a brand new kit and not a demo unit, because sometimes with demo units, you're missing screws, you're missing some functionality. And it's nice that they gave me this unit to do this review on. All right, so the one thing I like about this functionality of the support system is that you can mount this in any direction. So like, let's just say, for instance, our camera is suspended from a robot or a Dana dolly from up top, and we want to clear as much distance as we can here, but we still want rigidity. We can mount this upside down, and we can actually, since the camera's mounted here, our 15mm support rods can come out and support this lens as well. So that's what I love about having this as like a standalone and it not built into the lens. It allows for a much more stronger unit. I can focus on the eyelashes all the way to the eye. This is obviously it's not really easy to focus or stand as a subject this close to a macro lens, but so now I'm gonna zoom right in just so we could see what that looks like at 28. So now this is the same shot at 28, definitely for like more professional stuff for car rigs. I would definitely consult a key grip and they'll be able to like take this camera and lens system and even give you more creativity in where you can mount this. I really have a feeling that in the fridge, depending on how the fridge is, how it's set up, I think this lens might be the best option because it's gonna be able to let us mount the camera up top, and I'll be able to drop the lens where the can of soda or seltzer is. And I think this is the most fun part, is trying to figure out different scenarios. So we're gonna move into the house with the whole camera setup, and we're gonna figure out how this shot looks, and you'll see in the frame. All right, so right now we're gonna switch the right angle. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the camera and we're gonna place it. We're gonna figure out the right position where we can place it behind this section. And with this lens, this would be a lot harder with a regular camera because we wouldn't be able to get it right up against the glass. So what that's allowing us to do is to be able to stick this camera in, right angle it, and I'll be able to grab the sparkling water. And this is a shot that you would need to almost cut the back of the fridge to get, like, which is what they normally do. But this is allowing you to have more of like a practical shooting experience. So whether you attach the skater scope or the 90-degree angle, you're able to achieve different rigging points inside the fridge, obviously to a certain extent because you're limited, because this is a real refrigerator. But imagine you had something that was cut out. Now you're able to maneuver this in tighter spaces because look at the diameter of this lens. It's a lot thinner. So right now we're gonna switch it out. We're gonna grab our right angle attachment. And keep in mind that this is all made super easy because our motor is still attached to the same exact location. And all I have to do is grab this lens attachment and attach it right here, and I lock it right in place. For this setup, it took a little bit to set up because we had to maneuver the refrigerator a little bit. So for now, we have the camera propped in there, which is the Rialto. This is why I recommended something small like an FX3. Place some sodas in front of frame. I didn't have my wedges with me, so I just put a yogurt and a couple American cheeses. That was able to prop up the camera, but that's our setup tucked in there. And obviously we don't have to worry about the camera overheating because it's in the refrigerator. So it's probably nice and cold. And then also we have an iPhone 17 just for some light in here as well. So we'll close this up. And we're gonna roll. And this is gonna be our shot. For the next shot, I wanna showcase how unique this lens is because you're able to put this on a tripod and film it from the overhead view. I know a lot of people have macro shots of this opening up, but I think it's pretty cool to show either a right angle or a top-down view of this can being opened up. So the nice thing about this kit, it comes with these filters. So for a shot like this, we could potentially splash. So I just put that on there just in case. And for this shot, you'll notice in the screen, and I'll put the image obviously in camera, the lens, even though it's a right angle, it always displays the image the horizontal way backwards, so it's flipped. So in post, if you want it the other way, you're gonna have to flip it. So with a quick adjustment with the rotation dial, you're still able to get different angles and perspectives, like you see on screen. And I'll put this up on the screen as well, so we'll just get that live so you can see what that looks like. And right now we're not fully zoomed in, but even if we are, we can go wide and tight. And this is allowing us to get different shots within the same frame. And the nice thing I like about these, which I'm figuring out, is you could easily go on a Dutch angle very easily. So like, essentially like you could use these lenses outside, whether you're doing macro shots or regular shots as well. For this setup, we just thought about it when we were doing the refrigerator scene. Why not do a fried egg inside of a pan? This would be a difficult shot where you would need to like almost cut a pan to get this kind of style shot. But with this, it's very easy because you're doing a right angle and essentially you're able to dip this into the pan to get a shot. And I want to point out one thing. This filter is also not only protecting the lens, but it's also made of the same metal construction that this is. Okay. It didn't go as planned, but the concept is there. All right, let's stop that. All right, guys, this is take 2 because I messed up the other egg, but that's pretty cool though. That perspective is dope. It's very important to note that because this is all metal, you got to be very careful when you're actually doing practical things because this does get very hot. You could obviously wash this because it's just metal and glass, but definitely a set dresser or a art department person would know how to do this a lot more professional than we are. But we're just showing off the perspective and the point that you can throw this lens in practical ways without modifying and achieving the shot that you think that you wouldn't be able to get with a regular style lens. For this shot that we're doing right now, it's still using the same exact lens module that we use for the fried egg, but we wanted to actually incorporate underwater to show like we can put the lens, you could even go a little further than this, but we went out and we have our goldfish in a small fish tank and we're able to pretty much perform and show how good the quality is of this lens even underwater. And it's pretty amazing because you'll see in some of the clips, like the goldfish swims right up to the lens, and we're still able to focus super close. And it's just amazing how good the detail is, how close you can focus, and the fact that you could put it in water as well, which is pretty awesome. So for this setup, we're still on the Rialto, and we have this hooked up. So what this is allowing us to do is it keeps your motor, which is all your electronics, above water. And it still allows you to pivot and use all your electronic stuff outside and still be able to like turn the lens on the inside of this. As long as you don't pass, there's a line actually that actually says the water line. So you don't want to cross that section where it says the water line. The reason why we're redoing the test again, I'd rather have no outside lights interrupting the scene. So every piece of light that's coming through the windows and that's in the studio right now is all artificial, and we're controlling it. So we're gonna go through the range of 18mm all the way to 28mm. We're gonna have a T8, so it's wide open. It's gonna be a little tricky to focus here and there, but I just wanna show the depth of field of the lenses, and I also wanna show the characteristics of the lens going in and out. So during our test, we tested 18, 20, 24, and 28mm. We wanted to see like breathing, the way how consistent this lens is. And then also what I noticed is this lens is actually parfocal. And you can see that while we'll hit record now. And right now we're at an 18, and we will just zoom all the way to a 28, and that will give us a parfocal setup, which is pretty amazing, especially when you consider this to be a very small optic and a small design to cover full frame. Hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to Adorama Cinema channel for more videos just like this. My name is Nick Dabas. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.